Hi guys, it's Jennifer Miller from the Producing class, and this is your scene breakdown sheet tutorial. Welcome, let's get started. So where we left off last, you were finishing up your line script by color coding any items in Acrobat, and then you were going to save out a PDF version of that line script. So I opened our line script back up, and I just put in a few extra adjectives and a little bit more information just for the sake of having these tags in here to help us go through the example of our scene breakdown template. Like I mentioned in an earlier video, the more detailed you are in your shot descriptions and your action lines, the more information you'll have to put into your scene breakdowns. So for this example, we'll be looking at scene 3 specifically. So what I'm going to do is open up my template. This is our scene breakdown template, which is going to open in Excel, okay? And you'll notice that there are already 5 sheets prepared for you vertically here and ready to go. If you want to continue and provide additional sheets, then all you need to do is copy and paste and continue adding those in, and you can add them into the same project file. You'll notice that this is sized the right width so that when we export our PDF, everything will be contained on one page. If you're having trouble exporting and the right side of your page is getting cut off, you may have accidentally adjusted the column width. So let's start at the very top, and we'll go through these prompts at the top of the page. First, you have the sheet number. That's in the upper right. The sheet number is the scene breakdown sheet number, and that's going to advance in order. So if we have 5 sheets, you're going to start with sheet 1, then move on to sheet 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pretty self-explanatory. Then we're going to go over to our production company on the left here. Now, if you do have a production company already formed, by all means, go ahead and write in your company name. If you don't have a production company already, no worries. You can just add in your first and last name, or some students like to add their first and last name and then the word productions. It's totally up to you. So just for an example, I'll type in J. Miller Productions. Then we have your production title. That is the title of your project. So in our example, it's St. Cloud Businesses. It's a mini documentary featuring businesses in St. Cloud area of Florida. Then we have your page number. Okay, so here's where it starts getting a little bit tricky. I'm going to skip that for just 1 second, and I'm going to go down to scene number. Just for the sake of this example, guys, I'm going to be looking at scene 3, just because in this sample script, scene 1 and scene 2 are very limited, which is fine. And you'll have some scenes that may, like this one, may only have 1 shot, and it will have very limited information in your breakdown sheet, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for the sake of this example, I wanted something a little meatier that had a little bit more information to show you. So just for this example, I'm going to start with scene 3. So now let's say that we've already done scenes 1 and 2. So the scene number I'm working on is scene number 3. Now this says page number. This means the page number where the scene that we are completing first appears. So on what page of your script does that scene begin on? In this case, we're still on page 1 of your script. So the page number for scene 3 is going to be page 1. Again, that's your scripted page number where the scene first appears. Then interior or exterior, I'm going to take a look at our scene information. So scene name, guys, needs to be the location. So this would be Convention Center. If you prefer, if it's easier for you, you are welcome to include the entire scene heading. So interior Convention Center day. You can do that entire scene heading if you want to, but you're only required to include the location name, okay? I know that can be a little bit confusing, scene name versus location name, but that's the information that we need to have put there. And then interior or exterior, we can see here that this is an interior scene. So I'm going to type in INT. day or night. I can see that it's day, so I'll type in day. Then we get down to page count. Now, if you remember from your lining the script tutorial part 1, we talked about how to measure the page count of your scenes. So I'm not going to go over that again in its entirety, but I do want to look at page 3 here, and I think that I have the export. Yeah, I have an exported version just for the sake of looking at measurements. So remember that we break down the page into eighths, right, and consider visually cutting that in half and then in half again, so on and so forth, so we get into 8 sections. So if I'm looking at what length of page does scene 3 take up, my best guess at this point, based on this page in front of me, would be 4/8. So it takes up about a half of the page out of page 1 of our script. So I'm going to go back over, and again, I'm okay with you guys eyeballing it as long as you're close. Okay, so page count, we're going to put 4/8 and add that information in here. Now, under description, that is one line, 1 or 2 lines in your own words of what is this scene about. So in this example, let's see, it's a convention center, there's business people roaming about, and we're doing an interview. So business people are in the center, the main center area, interview with interaction. All right, so I'm just going to put in my own words what's going on in this scene. And again, we're just using scene 3 for an example. Okay, so now that we have that top section filled out, which you're going to do for each and every sheet, now we have your color-coded section. Now the good news is, if you did your line script correctly, it's not going to take you very long to complete this part of your scene breakdown sheet, because we've already set up the information for us when we did our color coding. So now we're just basically lining things up and matching it over here. The one thing you'll notice is that we do not have a location category. So even though you are required to tag your locations to make them stand out or pop from your script, you're not required to include the location information in any of these colored sections down here, because remember, we added the location name up here under the scene name in the top, okay? So now we have your cast category, which is red, your stunts in orange, extras in green, silent in yellow, props in purple, which can also be set dressing, guys, your special effects in blue, your sound effects or music in brown, vehicles or animals in pink, wardrobe in bold, and then a few other items that are not usually as popular but can still be included as well. So these colors are going to correspond with the same color chart that we talked about earlier, right, in our earlier lecture. So I'm looking over here, and like I mentioned earlier, I added in some extra information just so we would have more tags to play around with. So I'm going to start at the top, and we see that our first tag here is local business people, and we tag those as extras or atmosphere because they're not main talent or subjects. They're just kind of whoever happens to be around in the convention center, which is a release nightmare, but for the sake of this example, let's add in local business people, and you are going to add the tag just as you have it written and tagged in your script. You're just going to copy it over into your scene breakdown sheet, okay? Now you guys can remove these like color tags if you want to. You can type over them if you need to, or if you only need 1 or 2 spaces and you have room, you can leave it there as well, either way. Now the next tag I have is we hear some soft piano music playing, maybe coming out of the lobby. So that's tagged in brown for music, so I'm going to add in the soft piano music that's needed in this scene. Then we have an interview of a businessman. So since he is speaking, he has a speaking line over here in our audio column. He is going to be included as cast, and we'll add him into our cast list. Then we have him wearing a blue suit, which is a wardrobe notation. So I'm going to make sure we let our wardrobe department know that we need a blue suit on this man for whatever reason. It's important to the production. And then he's holding a bottle of his local hot sauce. So I want to definitely add that under props. Make sure we have a bottle of, whoops, that was weird. Bottle of hot sauce ready and waiting to go. And then if we come down here, we'll continue on and we'll see that a customer is browsing. So this is tagged in yellow because it's a silent part. Now the difference between this and an extra is that this customer is the subject of this shot. So you need to have a person standing there browsing that folder of information to have that shot. So it's not just random extras or a grouping of whoever happens to walk by in the room. Does that make sense? So the customer is going to be a silent, non-speaking role. So we're going to add the customer in here. And then that customer is browsing through a folder of information from a particular business. So we want to make sure we add that folder in under the props. Okay. There we go. All right, so that is the end of scene 3, and this begins scene 4. So that tells me that we're done filling out the information for scene 3. So this would be our third breakdown sheet. So you'll see that if we scan through, we have all the information in the top filled out, and we have completed all of the tags that we found in there. Now I used this scene because there was a few more tags than, like I mentioned, scene 1 or 2. So it might not, you might get to a point where you don't have any information in these other categories. You guys can choose to put NA if you prefer, which kind of just tells me I am aware that this category is here, but I don't have any of these things in that scene of the script. It's helpful to just have that note in there to show that you've considered those categories for those respective departments or teams. Okay. And then you would just scroll down and move on to the next scene. And then you're going to do that for all 5 scenes. And when you are done filling that out, then you just want to do a file save it out as a PDF file. Check the PDF to make sure all the information is included on that exported page. Please contact me if you have any questions or concerns while you're working on your scene breakdown sheets. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.